Good morning, everyone. This is for us. We've been awake since about 5 a.m., as we always do, to wake up and read our Bible. So that's what we do as a family. We have a young family. The youngest is just 6 months old. And we always read our Bible, and we're always looking and searching for things about the Bible. Because we are truly in love with reading our Bible, reading it to our children, making sure that we are living by the Word of God. And so we see videos online, on YouTube and stuff that we watch and things. And there are different people online that we watch, for edification and things. And for a very long time, we've been talking about our favorite people on YouTube that we watch and we recommend all the time. And I know that our YouTube channel is not big at all, and we don't want to grow it. We don't want fame. We don't want glory. We don't want any of that stuff. But so we watch for decades now. I mean, over a decade for sure. Good Fight Ministries, our very favorite ministry, is Good Fight Ministries, Pastor Joe Schimmel. And we take very, very serious his teachings, along with Chad. And then from there, we kind of went into other people that they recommend, they support, or things like that. And so from there, we found somebody that we actually completely respect, just as much as we respect Pastor Joe Schimmel, and probably even more on certain areas. His name is Christian J. Pinto. And the reason we love his work is because he has what we consider to be probably the best overview in history of Christianity, and the lamp in the dark, tares among the wheat, and bridge to Babylon. That series follows it's so inspired. I mean, I don't know if we can tag Christian Pinto on here, just to give a review of how amazing his work is in those documentaries. And so we respect Christian Pinto probably more than anyone as a historian, as somebody who has done the research, the work of the history of Christianity, okay, and the threats against the history of Christianity. He has on one of the documentaries, Bridge to Babylon, tares among the wheat. Somebody by the last name of Cook with an E at the end. He sounds Canadian. And he's quoting on Tares Among the Wheat how in war, he's quoting Gibbon, which wrote the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. I've read those volumes by Mr. Gibbon. I used to also read a lot of history, American history, world history, etc. And I used to be into that. But I am no expert on anything. I am just a layman, okay, listening to other people. I was in the military for a long time. I served the country and so forth. So I have no credentials. My only qualification is I do hold a degree in marketing, which has nothing to do with Bible history. So I am not somebody who is an expert at all on any of this. So I try to listen to people who know what they're talking about. I want to find people who know what they're talking about. So I'm just like any other guy out there, trying to find the best information among the sea of confusion. And so getting back to Gibbon, Mr. Cook on Tares Among the Wheat, he said of the Roman Empire that in war, the victor writes the history. So history is written from the perspective of those who win in a war. And that is very, very significant in talking about Christian history, because Christian history is typically written by those who are winning the war of truth, especially when it comes to the Bible. And there's no doubt at all, that Rome is winning the war of history of the Christian faith in the church. They're winning. There's no doubt about that. And because of that, there are no good sources of truth as to history of Christianity and the history of the Bible. So it is so significant because of the lack of truth. It is so significant to watch Christian Pinto's documentaries, because these have been exhaustively researched and well done, because it is typically hard to find good sources. And I don't have the time to do it. I have a young family. I have a full-time job, more than full-time, and things. And so it is very difficult for us to go and do the appropriate research that is necessary to come up with a good argument. Plus, I'm not eloquent. I am, I'm just like Moses. I can barely talk. I am not a good speaker or whatever, but I do get upset when I see certain things that go on that bring deception into something that should be so clear. And so we believe that people like Christian Pinto should be listened to all the time, because he has done his research. And so from there, we started watching other people. Of course, we have Ray Comfort, and then we have people like Doreen Virtue. And this recording here is mainly about Doreen Virtue. Doreen Virtue is a new Christian. I think she said she was miraculously saved in 2017, something like that. 18 maybe? 17. So just 5 years, maybe coming on to 6 years. And she is, I have no doubt, very sincere on everything. I have never watched a video where she doesn't make me feel compassion over people who are in deep darkness and how we should pray for them. She's very encouraging to pray for people like Joel Osteen, Joyce Meyer, and get them to come to the truth and realize how they are wrong, right? And so we've been subscribed to her channel for many years now, since she started, posting and things, I think shortly after. But then over the years, I have seen a lot of things, a lot of videos that Doreen has made, and we watch so many of them. I mean, we have her as, our alerts are on, we're on as of yesterday, to watch all of her videos and things as they came out. We couldn't wait. Sometimes she wouldn't post and we'd be upset just waiting for a video from her and so forth. And then one of the videos that we just watched, one of the latest ones, was about, the title of it goes something like, maybe we can pull up the title somehow, are the new Bibles, the modern Bibles, New Age, or something about, something like that. But anyway, so we watched that video, which is all about being a he has this guest by the name of, what's his name? The guy Mark Ward. He came and spoke to Doreen about the King James Bible. So with the King James Bible, we have a few points that they made on this video. And we wanted to, I mean, I've never done this. I've never replied to any one of our favorite Christian people that we follow. This is very uncomfortable for me, but something has to be said about it because there's not going to be a reply. I mean, Pastor Joe Schimmel has been on Doreen Virtue's YouTube, and I don't think that Pastor Joe Schimmel is going to address all of the false statements made on this particular video. And my son Winston just found the title of it. It's called "Are Modern Bibles New Age? Dr. Mark Ward Debunks Conspiracy Theories." That's the name of that's the title of Doreen Virtue's video that she just made with this guy that is addressing this. They call it King James onlyism. So like I said, I'm just a regular guy. I don't have a ministry except for the ministry to love my family and instruct them in the Word of God. But this video, made me very upset, and I wanted, maybe I'll get upset in this recording. I don't know. I really am trying not to sound crazy or anything, so that there's no criticisms of us. But it really made me extremely upset because of some of just the foolish. It's a very foolish video. Okay, the whole thing. I did not hear one thing that was not a foolish statement. Extremely foolish. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to start off with a 10,000 view of their argument, and then we'll come down to 5,000 foot view. So 10,000 foot view, 5,000 foot view, and then we'll come down to earth and get into a little bit of the nitty gritty of the arguments that they were making. So I wanted to reply first of all to this thing that this box that they put us in. But before I do that, I want to give a little bit of my background and why I feel attacked by this video. Our whole family feels like we were put under attack by Doreen Virtue and this guy, Mark Ward. Since then, we've, I hate to do it and I hate to say it, we just unsubscribed from Doreen Virtue's channel, which it really hurts us. But I don't want to see anything else from Doreen Virtue. I just don't. Because now I know how she thinks about the subject, and I can see how this is a seed that will permeate through all of her teachings. And I could see, how other videos that I watched, how I could tell that there was something wrong in her thinking. So, but let me just tell you a little bit about me in my history with the King James Bible. I felt attacked because I'm of the belief that the only Word of God is the King James Bible. But I want people that might be hearing this to know that we're not crazy as Doreen Virtue and Mark Ward painted us out to be, okay? We felt attacked and we feel attacked and we have to address it. So I didn't grow up with the King James Bible. My dad was not even married to my mother. My father had other children with other women. So, and then my mom, she came from a background where my grandpa was a preacher, okay, but he also used to drink, And so I grew up thinking that that kind of hypocrisy, both on my mom's side and on my dad's side, was okay. And because of it, I was given the different Bibles that were not the King James. Okay. My dad knew that he was a sinner. And so when I was a young boy, maybe 12, 13, my dad did tell me, look, I don't follow God. I know I should. And I need the truth of God. I know I do. And so the best I can do with you is advise you what the truth is. And so he told me the only truth that I've been able to find, which I do not follow, he was very honest with me. He told me it was the King James Bible. And that was the beginning, really, of me trying to figure out what the King James Bible was. And I said, okay. But I never read the King James Bible until I purchased my own King James Bible when I was 18 years old. Okay. But even then, I did not read it. I didn't read it. I didn't really was disciplined studying the Word of God. Then I went into Tommy Barnett's church in the year 2000. I was 20 years old then. And then I figured that everyone was reading all these other versions. The NIV was primarily, then the Message Bible, then the ESV, then the New King James. Then all these people were reading all these kinds of Bibles, and I said, "Wow, that's great!" And so I was reading a lot of history at the time, and so I got myself an Oxford Bible. Okay, and then I would read that one, and then I wanted to read all the Bibles that were more or less teaching me about history, because at the time I used to wanted to be a philosopher. I used to read people like Will Durant. I read all his volumes of the history of the world by Will Durant. I read H.G. Wells' outline history of history. I read the Plutarch's books. I read Gibbon's. I was a very much a history buff. I read all these things. I can tell you about history, etc. And so when I got to Tommy Barnett's church, then I just got into all their Bibles that they were reading, and so those are the Bibles that I read, and then I started having issues in my own morality, in my own thinking, and I just knew I lacked holiness. I knew I lacked holiness. I knew I lacked certain something. I knew I was wrong, and I was thinking about my own father. And I thought, man, my dad, lusted after the flesh, and I watched myself having some of the same thoughts as my own father did, and I wanted to figure out what it was. I went to church. I was in the worship team. I played music alongside Hillsong when they came out to visit Tommy Barnett's church and some of these other big bands. I was on the worship team at Tommy Barnett's church. I knew all the leadership. I still, to this day, if the Barnetts see me at some church like they have, they recognize me. I'm friends, or I used to be friends, really, with some of the people that manage even their finances for the Barnetts and their staff and everything like that. So believe me, I have been there, done that. But at the same time, I found that I lacked holiness. I struggled with my thought life, and I wanted to figure out why. Why was I struggling? I read my Bible, from that time forward when I joined the church and stuff. I went to one of their discipleship programs. I paid money to go in there, and I put everything on hold, my life and so forth. To go into it, and I discovered that everyone was very worldly in that program, and I wanted to figure out, why are we so worldly? How come we don't search for holiness? But I was reading my NIV Bible. I still have it. It's all full of notes and highlighted and everything. And that's where I met my wife, and we have beautiful children. But I still wanted to pursue after holiness. And then I was wondering things like, why are we not being persecuted like Jesus was? Like, people love us and things, and there's like, I don't see the congruency in my life with Jesus's experience on earth. Why is it? And so I started questioning a lot of things, and that's when I went back to Joe Schimmel and Pastor Joe Schimmel and Christian Pinto, and I started just paying attention to what Christian Pinto was saying about the history of the Bible. And then I said, okay, I need to go back and really take seriously my Bible. So I went and I bought a 1-year Bible. I thought it was an excellent Bible at the time, and now I have children and things, and I've been reading this one Bible that I purchased, the 1-year Bible, but it was not like the 1 year that everyone reads. It was New Living Translation, and it was arranged in a way that it is a historical Bible, so it follows the history. It's arranged so the books are not separated like they are in most Bibles, by the Pentateuch, then the Chronicles and so forth, and then the prophetic books, and then the New Testament and so forth. It was arranged more or less on a timeline of history. So all of the Gospels, for example, they're merged into one timeline. And so I started reading that Bible. It's called the 1-year Bible, New Living Translation. And so I started reading that, hoping that it would give me more understanding of things. But then I discovered that it made me more confused. And so I read every Bible out there. And finally, I said, you know what? I'm just going to try the King James. I hear the arguments about the King James, but I got to go back to my dad's advice. He told me that the King James was the Bible that had the truth. So I started reading my King James Bible. And oh my goodness, as soon as I started reading that book, it was like eating the sweetest of honeys that you can possibly have. It was like drinking and never being thirsty again. And that's why I take issue with Doreen Virtue and Mark Ward, because they painted the King James. So this is the 10,000-foot view now I'm going to move into. They painted the King James as a cult. And I am extremely offended by that, Doreen. If you listen to this, I'm so offended by what you did in that video. I think you should pull it down. I think that you're leading people astray. And I will show you, I am no researcher. I'm just a regular Navy guy, okay, who was enlisted. I was not an officer in the Navy. I was just one of the lowest ranks in the Navy. I did bad in school. I'm not like Mark. I don't know everything like Mark does. Mark Ward, he knows everything about everyone and everything. He's read every book that's ever been produced. Mark Ward, it is the excellence of all students, straight A student. I mean, he's been everywhere. I mean, this guy is just what you want your children to be, right? Straight A student and everything else. I'm not like him. I'm not as smart as he is, okay? I'm compared to him as he painted me on that video. I am one of the dummies that doesn't understand, okay? That's pretty much what Mark Ward said in your video, Doreen, okay? So I am one of those people. But, I thought that Jesus came for people like me, the unlearned, because all of the disciples were like me, unlearned men, okay? And so when I started reading the King James, I just felt like, my goodness, what I have been missing my entire life, I have found. Now, I was not raised speaking English, okay? I wasn't. And I didn't really start speaking English until I was maybe 15, 16 years old, okay? And I still understand the King James Bible. And I thought, wow, this is the best English ever. And, one of the things that I want to cover is about the language that this guy, Mark Ward, try to make an argument about. And listen, I would never get into a debate with Mark Ward because he's really smart and I'm just a dummy. Okay, I really am. But I'm in my dumbness, okay, I can understand the King James Bible just fine. I do not need your help, Mark, in reading my King James Bible. So I will also say this is another 10,000 foot view analysis, which is I have never in my life met another King James only person. Not one time. And believe me, I have looked for King James only people. They try to paint us as a cult, that we're somehow in some room behind closed door plotting to go after the people that come out of the New Age. It's insanity what I heard on Doreen's Virtue channel and video. It is insanity. I've never met another King James only person. As a matter of fact, I complain that there aren't enough people reading the King James Bible, and because they don't read the King James Bible, they're confused like I used to be in my testimony that I just gave. The King James Bible saved my life. And I'm extremely offended that Doreen and Mark made fun of my salvation. Extremely offended. I was going straight to hell reading the other versions of the Bible. And I cannot believe, so let's get into Doreen's video. So she opens up saying, hey, the reason I'm making this video is because these people are coming out of the New Age and they're being attacked by KJV onlyism. Okay, Doreen, well, you're doing the same to me. I came out from never reading the King James Bible, okay? And then I come out of that darkness of the other Bibles and I came closer to the Lord. I got saved when I started reading the King James Bible. I got saved. The Lord saved me. And you attack that? So you don't want the King James only people to attack the people coming out of the New Age. Well, don't attack the rest of us who come out of the false Christianity, the false Bibles, the New Age Bibles into the King James. And because of that, we're saved. Don't attack us. This is bananas. So you have a heart for the New Agers because of your background. Well, by the same token, you should understand my argument. I have a heart for the people coming out of the deception in the church, so-called church, like Tommy Barnett's church, okay, or Hillsong. I came out of the Hillsong movement. I was friends with some of these people, okay, that are very close to Hillsong. I came out of that, and now you're attacking me because the King James Bible saved me. That's the thing that saved me, and saved my children, saved my wife, because all she did is from the time we have her Bible that she got from her parents as a little girl, that was an NIV Bible. And when she started reading the King James, she felt the same way I did. And I, as the leader of my home, I led us into the King James. And we're like, both of us, me and my wife, we're like, oh my goodness, it's like drinking water, living water that we never knew that we could drink. we felt like we were in a desert and finally found an oasis of water. And just so you know, guys, when I said that, it started raining. We live in Florida. In Florida, it's like the heavens open and like buckets of water just fall from the sky. And as soon as I said living water, like these buckets started pouring from the sky. It was amazing. But anyway, so we were in a desert of confusion, of everyone does whatever they want, and very worldly behavior in getting close to Hillsong people and so forth, and now we found the Lord in the King James. So please, Doreen, don't go defending the New Age people that come out of that, praise the Lord, but then go on attacking us, the King James people, who found the King James to be the only inerrant word of God. So that is the 10,000 foot view of us, this is our testimony. And I wanted to make this clear because I am not as smart as Mark Ward. Okay, I'm not smart at all. So if I rated my brain with Mark Ward's brain in a scale from 1 to 10, Mark's intelligence is at probably 100, as he described. Mind you, okay, we're only using a 1 to 10 scale, but Mark Ward is self-described as 100 out of 10, okay? And my intelligence level, according to Mark Ward, is probably at minus 100. That's the difference that Mark Ward painted me and him in your video, Doreen, okay? So let's come back down now to 5,000 foot view of your video. So let's get into some of the nitty gritty of it at 5,000 level. So your very title, Doreen, incredible. I cannot believe that this is coming from somebody who truly loves the Lord. And I know you do. But there are some things that we have to address that are very, very blatant and evident. Your title says, Modern Bibles, New Age, Debunking Dr. Mark Ward on debunking KJV, okay? Now, debunking terms, let's look at the terms that you're using and that Mark is using. And I'm not going to call him doctor because I have no respect for him, okay? So Mark is using typical tactics used by the Jesuits. I'm going to repeat that. Mark Ward is using typical tactics used by the Jesuits. And so let's look at George Bush, okay? George Bush in the American machine of war started throwing into the population terms, and I'm only looking at George Bush because this is what Mark led us into, but we, as the church, we don't realize this is what Jesuits do, okay? Started throwing at us terms like conspiracy theory and debunking. Those are very well known. You can Google this on your own. But those are very well-known terms that Jesuits use to completely disarm the opponent's arguments. And Mark Ward begins using conspiracy theories. So he's calling me a conspiracy theorist. I just gave you my testimony. And now I'm being attacked as being some Looney Tune. Okay? So my salvation that I just gave you, now I'm being attacked as being a conspiracy theorist. Okay? It's insanity to me. So you can hear the baby in the background. I'm sorry about that. But we do this as a family. And by the way, this is like really early. Like I said, we got up at 5 a.m. It's now 6 something. So we wanted to come in and say, by those terminologies that Mark Ward is using, you could immediately tell that he is either a Jesuit or Jesuit trained. Which brings me, this is the 5,000-foot view, okay, to go and have extreme compassion for Doreen Virtue because she went to seminary. And I got to say, seminaries are controlled by the Jesuits. So I don't think that it is far-fetched for Doreen to be trained by Jesuit-controlled seminaries and then her not being friendly to Jesuits like Mark Ward. Am I accusing Mark Ward of being a Jesuit? I don't care. He uses all the terminologies that they use. So you know what? You're at least Jesuit trained. So the 5,000 view or 5,000-foot view of this issue with the King James Bible, that it's completely made up, by the way. There's no issue with the King James crowd, as they call it, because I don't know where they are. I'd love to meet some King James only people. I would just love to, okay? But I don't know where they are. So anyway, the biggest problem with being a Jesuit or talking like a Jesuit is that the Jesuits were created by Ignatius Loyola as a counter-reformation, okay, because they hated the King James Bible, okay, or the manuscripts that led to the King James Bible, such as Wycliffe's, Tyndale's, Coverdale's, etc., Matthew's, etc. I'm not going to break down the entire video by Doreen Virtue because we'd be here forever. So the Jesuits by these Loyolas are very well documented that they are the ones. So I'm going right back to the beginning of the video, which is Rome is writing history. Okay, Rome is writing history. There's just no doubt about that. And Rome is the mother of forgeries. The mother of forgeries. So then we went and we watched Todd Friel's Wretched on YouTube, and we watched his videos on his arguments. He's very eloquent, and we wanted to understand what they think about the King James only ism, as they call it. It's so awful that they have a term for it. Crazy. But apparently these people believe that you have an eclectic group of manuscripts, okay, that are oldest, quote unquote, and best, okay, and they call that the eclectic group of manuscripts. And then you have the Textus Receptus, right? Which is what the King James Bible is based on, the Textus Receptus. So I am sorry, Mr. Todd Friel. We really love you and we have not unsubscribed from your channel, but we were very close. And simply because you are not we don't feel attacked, okay, as we did by this guy Mark Ward. So we'll still listen to him. We'll still listen to Ray Comfort, who uses Bibles from the eclectic text. I can't even pronounce it. I'm sorry, but those Bibles are just completely off. So there are two things to keep in mind. Okay, from our research, go to Christian Pinto. He explains everything about this controversy. Okay, so a lamp in the dark and tares among the wheat. But the gist of it is that all of these texts, okay, the corrupted text, the eclectic, okay, all of these texts completely made up by Rome. Rome wrote them, just like Rome wrote the theory of evolution. Just like Rome forged the Piltdown man. Just like Rome is behind all of these deceptions. Remember, Rome is the one writing history. Rome is writing history. Okay? So if you're going out and finding history about the King James Bible, you're going to find somebody who is coming from Rome's perspective, or they're ordained by Rome to give you their side because they're the winners. They're winning the war of the Bible controversies, okay? Because they write all the history. They have all the funding. They have all the people. They have an army of people throughout the world giving people the wrong history about everything. So we only have very few books that we use that were written by by all of the people who came out from Christ, okay, into the early church, then all through the Dark Ages, okay, and into our modern time. Some of those works, include Fox's Book of Martyrs, okay? And Fox's Book of Martyrs follows the church history, okay? And then from there, that's a work that is just very famous. So Rome started to put its hand in that work. So Mr. John Fox used the Geneva Bible to write or to reference into his Book of Martyrs. But when you read the Book of Martyrs by John Fox, you get the sense that the book of the Acts of the Apostles continues into John Fox's Book of Martyrs. You get that kind of a feeling. But then Rome did not like that. And a lot of the modern books that continue into the 20th century on Fox's Book of Martyrs, because they keep being reprinted. So people keep reprinting to update John Fox's book, okay, the Book of Martyrs, and they keep adding other martyrs into the story. But the modern books now are including people who are only allowed by Rome to be said that they're a martyr, okay? So you cannot even find a good printing of the Book of Martyrs because Rome is clouding the water, is disturbing, is putting their spin right into the book. So it's very hard to find the stories, the true accounts. Another book that will give us history on Christianity is E.H. Broadbent's book, The Pilgrim Church. So these are only a few things that allow us to understand the truth in how Rome has corrupted the entire history of humanity. Everything is being told and written from Rome's perspective. But these books that we're saying, they're not. Okay? Another book that is very well recommended by Christian Pinto is The Secret History of the Jesuits. So let's go back to the Jesuits for a second. The Jesuits are a military organization created by Rome through Ignatius Loyola, but they are Gnostics as well. They lead all the secret societies like the Illuminati and the Freemasons and the Skull and Bones and the Knight of this, the Knight of that, the Knights of Malta, the Knights of Columbus, the Knights of all of this stuff. Even the Christian flag. Okay, you can see that's Columbus's flag. I mean, they have really permeated into every facet of Christianity to where now they're in control of Christianity. And I mean Protestantism. Rome is our enemy. Okay, Rome is our enemy. Anything, we're still in 5,000-foot view. Okay, anything that comes out of Rome is Jesuit. It is the whore of Babylon. It is muddied. It is stained with the blood of the saints that they killed. Oh, by the way, the Dark Ages is because Rome was killing the saints. It's not because of what they tell us. Okay? So we're being persecuted. And the book that Rome persecutes the most is the King James Bible. Okay, so let that sink in. Don't allow yourself, Doreen, to be an asset to Rome. Don't attack the King James Bible and people like us that believe the King James Bible. Okay, so Tischendorf was probably one of the most significant Jesuits who claimed to be a Protestant. Okay, at the time when Rome is killing Protestants, like literally killing them, and all of a sudden they allow Tischendorf to get an audience with the Pope? Are you kidding me? That needs to be questioned. And then they go and then they bring out these manuscripts out of their whole plot, okay, by Tischendorf and the rest. And now we get the Latin Vulgate and we get the corrupted text from which all of the Bibles, modern Bibles, are derived from. All of these manuscripts, eclectic or whatnot, all of those manuscripts are completely fabricated by Rome. Completely fabricated by Rome. They actually wrote them. So you're going to go and debate that? I don't want to debate that with Mark Ward. Like I said, he has the mindset of a God, okay, as he described himself. And I have the mindset or the intelligence of a roach, according to Mark Ward. This is what he told me on this video that Doreen put out, okay? So I'm not smart enough to talk to Mark Ward or debate him. However, I will say this. Listen to my just lack of intelligence analysis, okay? I'm going to say one thing. If Rome corrupted all of these texts, then why are they hated? Why is the King James hated by Rome? Why do they still come against the King James Bible? Okay? You go to a Christian bookstore. Go to your nearest Christian bookstore and ask for a King James Bible. They don't carry the King James anymore because Rome won the war. Okay? You can easily tell that there's a war against the King James Bible. It's so easy, just like there is a war against true believers. So please do not allow your channel to be used as a tool for Rome. Please, please, I am now pleading with all of you guys that attack the King James only people. Now, I will say that we are aware, this is from a King James only perspective person, we are aware that there are probably some issues in the King James Bible. But believe me, there are way more issues in the other Bibles. Way more. Way more. So let's start getting into some of the nitty-gritty of things. So now we went from 10,000 feet. Now we went to 5,000 feet addressing Tischendorf and some of the Jesuits. Oh, let me stay at 5,000 feet. And let me pose this other question to the smartest person I've ever seen in my life, which is Mark Ward. Okay, if you are not, if you want people to just read the Bible as you claim, right, and just to understand, he says, "Oh, I'm just trying to help people understand their King James Bible better." You know, and by the way, his tone, I'm honest. I'm an honest guy. I was in the Navy. I'm not a minister or whatever. The way he talks is very effeminate, okay? So it bothers me. It just bothers me. I don't like listening to effeminate men, first and foremost. But I watched the entire video, and I was extremely bothered by his effeminate way of talking. But I will pose this question. If you are so smart, Mr. Mark Ward, then why are you supporting people who make fun of the Bible? Why are you supporting and promoting and defending people, Jesuits, known Jesuits? It's provable that these are Jesuits. You're supporting and defending them, people that speak of the account of creation, okay, as a fairy tale. And they say things like, nobody who has any kind of intelligence can read the account of creation and not think of it as a fairy tale. Or take Christ's supernatural salvation. They make fun of the miracles of Jesus. And I'm speaking about Hort. And what's the other clown? Westcott. And Westcott. Westcott and Hort. These are clowns. These are Jesuits. And I'm speaking about also James White, who's very good friends with Todd Friel and is very good friends with Ray Comfort. Okay? So this is 5,000 foot view still. These people, and then Mark Ward, I know all the translators. I know them. I go to their houses. They're fine people. Okay? They're beautiful people. Don't let me forget about the women preachers, okay? So, they're fine people. They're beautiful people. They're godly people and so forth. Really? They are? They're godly people, Mark? Remember, I mean, maybe I'm just so stupid as you painted me out to be that I don't understand the difference between smart and stupid. Okay? But why is Westcott and Hort being defended? You do your own Google search or go on YouTube and just watch Mark Ward defending Westcott and Hort. Standing up for Westcott and Hort, I think I saw him saying, these are people that call the account of creation fairy tales and the miracles of Jesus as fairy tales as well. You can do your research. I encourage you to do your research on Westcott and Hort and what they truly believed about the account of creation. Don't go and find some argument about how, they're so smart and they know how to read Greek and Hebrew. And I know that Mark, he kept saying that throughout Doreen Virtues. Oh, I understand, with his effeminate voice. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Doreen, but it bothers me, okay? I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make fun of him. It just bothers me how he talks. Oh, I understand, that most people cannot understand. They don't have the education to understand Hebrew or Greek, but I do. This guy's so full of himself. Incredible. But maybe I'm just so stupid, as Mark Ward called me, okay? I'm translating what he's saying, okay? Of course, he did not use the word stupid, but he didn't have to. But I'm so stupid that I think that Westcott and Hort, okay, are not Christian people. Because they're not Christian people. They're demons. They are just like the serpent at the garden, okay? Westcott and Hort, along with Tischendorf. They're demons. They're wolves in sheep's clothing. And you go and look at their arguments or how they made fun. Go and look at how they made fun of the account of creation and the miracles of Christ, okay? Just go and look for yourself. And here we have the smartest person alive. He's smarter than Jesus, by the way, Mark Ward is, okay? Telling us that we have to defend Westcott and Hort. Mark Ward is a phony, is a fraud, okay? Just like Westcott and Hort were, because he's defending them. And you have him on your show, Doreen. Incredible. Incredible. Do your research before you invite people onto your show. And so we move into Todd Friel, we move into James White, we move into Ray Comfort. You guys do your research, because just like Mark Ward, James White is the same way. So Doreen Virtue has Mark Ward as an expert coming into her show, and Todd Friel has James White coming into his show addressing which Bible should we read. And they both say, oh, the King James Bible is not trustworthy. And then you go and you figure out, that James White reads the King James Bible, and yet he attacks it every time he opens his mouth. But the Bible that he actually reads is the King James Bible. It is so bizarre. You can tell these people are, at the very least, Jesuit trained. So, now that we've addressed that, let me get to maybe 3,000 foot view. So 3,000 foot view is this. We know that the King James Bible probably has some errors in it. But look at what the King James Bible did. It built up England. It built up America into Protestant nations. Just ask yourself, do your own research. When most people in America think of the time of expanding into the West, the mid-1800s and so forth, when we're settling the western part of the country, you can picture yourself and you can read accounts. You can read the books by, say, Laura Ingalls, okay? And you can see Pa, okay, Ma and Pa. They were very poor people settling the West, and they carried with them a King James Bible. A King James Bible. When the Pilgrims came to America, they carried a Geneva Bible. Okay? At that time, ask yourself, could you leave the doors open, unlocked in your house, and not be afraid of crime, corruption, and all of the darkness in the world? You could. You were happy to let your kids play outside. And that was when the King James Bible was the centerpiece of the living room. The King James Bible built our nation. The King James Bible was put into our laws that made our country great. Same with England. It was the King James Bible that was debated at the floor of the Senate. It was the King James Bible that they got the 10 Commandments that were in front of every courthouse in all 3,000, almost 4,000 counties in the United States. We had the 10 Commandments on a stone outside of our seats, county seats for every county in this country. It was the words out of the King James Bible. I am not saying that the King James Bible is 100% accurate in its translation. I am not saying that. I know that. Everyone knows that. But the King James Bible, look at the fruit. Don't look at the history, because then you'll encounter people like Mark Ward in all of, what is his name? Phil, Tyranny of the Expert. Phil Stringer is the greatest debater that I've seen on the King James Bible. Phil Stringer. And he gives a beautiful analogy, and he's in Christian Pinto's documentaries. Beautiful analogy. The experts, he calls it the tyranny of the expert, where the experts don't have to give a good argument to defend. They say things like, well, everyone knows that the King James is not the best translation. And if because everyone knows, then that's all we need as our evidence to make our argument. And so many things are like that. There's no evidence for the theory of evolution, but because every expert says it's true, then it is true. And all these experts like Mark Ward and James White, they have no basis for their arguments because it falls on its face, because they're defending Westcott and Hort and their logic in Tischendorf, who had no arguments. But because they're the experts, and this expert said this, and another expert said that, because they're experts, because they went to school, because they have all the degrees, then that is what is truth. Because all the experts say it's true. So if all the experts say the theory of evolution is true, then since all the experts say it, then that is the law. And if the world was created over billions of years because all the experts know that, then that is what happened. Then that is the truth. And so many arguments are based on the theories of experts. So that is Westcott and Hort, that is Tischendorf, that is the Vatican, that is the Jesuits. That's how they win, and they win us and disarm us because they tell us that we're conspiracy theories because we don't agree with their theories. Okay? That's what that means. So when we come back to the 3,000 foot view, then this final argument. So in this interview, it was so ironic. The irony is just unbelievable to me. Doreen Virtue says, in the same interview, the same video that we're talking about, she says, the whole thing about women preaching is just, oh man, that is just so bad. We can't even get into it. So, and we've watched many videos where Doreen Virtue goes into how women should not preach in the church, right? Okay, if they shouldn't preach, Mark Ward, throughout that whole video, the hypocrisy is just amazing. It's unbelievable. It's mind-blowing, okay? So if a woman shouldn't preach, then why are they translating the Bibles? Mark Ward said, I know all of the translators that are translating these modern Bibles. They're godly people. They're godly men and women. So why would a woman not be allowed to preach, but she's allowed to translate the Bible? Incredible. Incredible. The hypocrisy is unbelievable. Somebody who is a hater of God is going to grab that bit of video and they're going to say, see, these people, misogynistic people, and they're hypocrites too, because they don't allow their women to preach, but yet they can translate the Bible. Hypocrisy, not only in my eyes, but in the eyes of the world. We lose our arguments with the world because we are so foolish in our own arguments. We're foolish because we're believing people's translations, which go all the way back to Westcott and Hort. The eclectic text came from these clowns, and we take those as fact in the newer translations of the Bible. That's why we're losing the argument. We don't go back to the time when this country was great, when the Bible that was put at the capital of, or at the county seat of every county in our country was words from the King James Bible. And ask yourself, at that time, most of our citizens had the fear of God. Look at the fruit of the King James Bible. Don't look at what the experts are saying about the King James Bible. I'm going to repeat that again. Don't listen to the experts about the King James Bible. Look at the fruit. By the fruit of the King James Bible shall we know that it's true. The King James Bible produced the greatest moral generation in the history of the world, which was Protestant United States, Protestant England. The greatest generation, the greatest treasures came when our countries were Protestant. When the majority of the people were Protestant, we all had a King James Bible. We know there are mistakes in the King James Bible, but look at the fruit. Don't look at the mistakes. Look at the fruit. We weren't afraid. There was no confusion in the churches. We were submitted unto God. The Lord was the Lord of our homes. Look at what's happening now. Look at the darkness in the church. Look at the darkness. Look at all the LGBTQ and whatever else. Look at all of that. It has taken completely over the church. We didn't have that problem when we had a King James Bible as our main Bible. Can't you see that? Can't you just think for yourself without having some buffoon like Westcott and Hort telling you that these guys are buffoons, telling you this is the best manuscript? These guys are snakes. I am so upset over this. And I'm so disappointed in Doreen and some of the people that we love. We love Doreen Virtue. We love her. Absolutely love her. Wake up. Wake up. I am not eloquent. I can't talk. I talk too much. I go into rabbit trails I cannot present. I'm not a good YouTuber. I am none of it. I'm not good at anything. I'm only good at one thing, and that is reading my Bible to my children. My children are great children. They love the Lord. They read their Bible. You can see the evidence of the fruit of the Spirit in their lives, of my children. That's the one thing that I did right in my life, is to raise godly children. And I've done it. And I did it with the King James Bible. So please, I am pleading with you guys. Do not look at what the experts are saying. Look at the fruit of the King James Bible, what it produced. Don't use your own experience with the King James Bible. If you don't understand the King James Bible and how it talks in the Elizabethan or whatever term they're using, the Old English, what are we supposed... Ask me this. Answer me this, Doreen and Mark and James White. So you're saying, which is such a stupid... I am so sorry, but this is such a stupid statement that Mark said. Oh, the Word of God was designed to be given to the laymen, okay, in their own language. So the King James Bible was written in a language other than English? That's not English? The King James Bible is not English? No, Ben, that's not what we mean. Is that the language since then has changed, and so we have to modernize the Bible into the modern way of speaking. Okay, I understand that. I'm an idiot, but I'm not that big of an idiot. Okay, I understand that. All right. So as the language continues to decline, what are we going to do? Okay, as the language, because the language is a reflection of our heart, of men's hearts. Okay, so since the culture is so dark, our language reflects that darkness. So what are we going to do? We're going to keep dumbing down the language until one day, what is it going to be in 20 years, Mr. Smart Mark? Okay, what's it going to be in 20 years? We're going to have a Bible that's going to say, yo, bro. When Jesus, or when the paralyzed man is saying, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. What is that going to be translated into 20, 30, 50, 100 years from today? Yo, bro, Jesus, give me some ability to walk. What's it going to be translated into? Yo, bro, Jesus? What is wrong with you? You have to have a standard that you're doing this. This is how I know Mark Ward is a Jesuit, because they try to do the same thing with the Constitution of the United States. Well, the laws that they came up with 200 years ago don't apply for our modern day. So we have to have laws that allow people of the same sex to marry, because that's our modern world. There's no end to that kind of foolishness. And you're doing the same thing with the King James Bible. It's insanity. But maybe, like you said, I'm just an idiot. I don't understand. I'm not open-minded enough, right? I'm not open-minded to adapt to the times. That's what you're doing. The same argument the liberals use to allow all the homosexuals to go into our churches and take over. So now what's it going to be next, right? We're going to have all of our preachers. So what's the next Bible? A Bible. We already have a woman lib Bible, okay? We already have a Bible for everything else. So now we need a Bible for homosexuals? We need a Bible for pedophiles? There's no end to this downward spiral. Can't you see that? We need a standard that does not change because times change. I know. Listen, I have, according to Mark Ward, the brain of a peanut. Okay? And yet I'm able to understand the Bible, the King James. I'm able to read it. I did not grow up speaking English, and I understand it very easily. It is so beautiful. King James Bible is the most beautiful thing I've ever read in my life. Ever. And I learn. And see, they do the same thing. Look, when liberals do the same thing. And why? By the way, why are we so liberal with the Bibles? Most of us are conservative. We're conservative when it comes to politics, but we're extremely liberal when it comes to Christianity when it comes to the Bible. Why is that? But let me give you a political argument also. Why is it that Mexicans and Spanish people get everything translated for them? All the documents have to be translated. Things are both in English and Spanish now everywhere. You can see it everywhere. And everyone says, well, we have to be welcoming and we have to be loving to these people and all this kind of nonsense, right? It's an insult to me. And I'm going to tell you why it's an insult to me. Because when they tell me I am translating this document, this legal document, say I go to the courthouse or whatever, they have a copy in Spanish of whatever legal, I'm getting or license, a driver's license or something, right? It's a government building. And they translate the application into Spanish because I'm not smart enough to learn English. It's an insult when somebody tells me you need a Spanish document. It's an insult to me that I am so stupid that I cannot read an English document. It's an insult. You see, because again, history is told from the victor perspective. The one who's winning the war gets to tell the story. Okay? So don't insult me by saying I cannot understand. And by the way, I'm saying it because this guy, Mark Ward, insulted me, saying that, and he said many statements. You can go through that whole video yourself. We're going to link it here to this video. Go through or maybe we shouldn't. We don't want to send traffic to this dumb video. But anyway, he said so many times in that video, listen, Mark Ward, the smartest person in the world, I hear all the time from King James only people that I helped them understand what they were reading. Mark, I don't need your help understanding the King James Bible. Thank you. But I think my brain is big enough to handle it. Okay? I don't need you for anything. You're a Westcott and Hort surrogate. I know what you're up to. It's not going to work. It's not going to work with me. It's not going to work with my family. We are shielded from you. We knew you were a hypocrite from the minute that you started speaking. And we know that Doreen Virtue has a good heart, but Mark does not. He has an agenda. He cannot be convinced. But Doreen, I'm pleading with you. Todd Friel, pleading with you. Ray Comfort, I'm pleading with you. Look into the history of the Jesuits and how their whole system is designed to take down the King James Bible. Don't ever align yourself to be against the King James Bible because you're fulfilling the aims and the goals of the Jesuits and the Vatican. That is the danger. We know we're not stupid. We don't need to be told that there are problems with the King James Bible's translation. We know that. But we will still use it, just like our country used it in its early days to make all of our laws, because those laws were sound, they were good. We needed a change of heart. Those laws were put in there because they knew that people had a greater moral accountability. That's why, let me ask you this. When you go to court and you are put under oath in early America, what Bible are you putting your right hand over, or your left hand over a Bible, and then raise your right hand? What Bible was that? What Bible translation was that? It was the King James Bible. The King James Bible built our country. And you never mentioned that because you're a shill for Rome. You never mentioned it, nor will you ever. It was the King James Bible that gave us our country, our safety, all the things. God blessed us because we read the King James Bible and it changed our hearts. Just like it changed me in my testimony this morning. I was reading all of the confusing other things, and I came to the King James Bible, and I finally realized all of my sins. And it saved me. It saved me from hell. It really did. Don't put it down. Don't make fun of it. And certainly do not call it a conspiracy theory. And don't call it a cult like you guys did. It's not a cult. What's wrong with you? It built our entire nation. Or maybe I'm not smart enough to understand that it didn't. Because you're going to come back at me and tell me that it didn't. It did. And you know it. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. Okay? It is right there in front of all of us. Go to, maybe in California where you guys live or something. I don't know where you live. Okay? Maybe there isn't a 10 Commandments stone in front of a courthouse. But go to a courthouse nearby and you will see probably still the 10 Commandments out of the King James. That's what used to keep our country great. It was what the work of the King James did in our hearts. That is why we have this channel and encourage people to read their King James Bible, because we know what it did for our country in the past. It can do it again. We need less confusion, not more. We need less voices, not more. Let's go back to what we already did as a nation, and it worked. It worked. Either read your Geneva Bible or read your King James. Either way, read the Textus Receptus. The Textus Receptus, I'm not advocating for only the King James. I'm advocating for the Textus Receptus, which is the received text. When we used to read the received text, our country was great. This was extremely long video and talk and show. But we're going to break it up. I wanted to make it long so that in the future we can break it up and put it into smaller chunks and pieces, because I'm sure that we're going to see other people, and we wanted to have a basis of why we trust the King James. First, it was my testimony. Then I gave you a 10,000 foot view of the history of it. Then I gave you a 5,000 foot view. Then I gave you a 3,000 foot view. And then we got into the nitty gritty. And here we are ending this video and telling you, don't allow these experts to convince you that the King James has no fruit. It has the fruit of this nation, how it was great. It has the fruit of the English nation, okay? And it has the fruit of the Constitution, has the fruit of all throughout our laws are based on the King James Bible. All of our laws were based on that. You go and read Blackstone, which is when we had a legal system, okay? They needed to change that system. You read the Blackstone volumes. These are legal books. They were all based on the King James Bible. All of them. Ever since we took out Blackstone out of the court systems, which is pretty much is the argument that we have to have a president, okay? Like something, a case that was analyzed before. Otherwise, we don't give a ruling. And Blackstone took us all the way back to ancient Israel through the Bible, and we said, okay, we will first take our presidents from the cases, the legal cases we see in the King James Bible. And from that, we'll take those presidents and put them into our American legal system. And that's how we were judged in America, okay? Based on the Bible, the King James Bible. So they took some legal cases from the Old Testament, they took legal cases from the New Testament, and they weaved those cases into our legal system. Read the volumes of Blackstone legal work. Okay, I can't remember his first name. I will probably research it. William Blackstone. Good job, Winston. William Blackstone gave us our basis for our American law. And the reason our American law is so awful is because they took out William Blackstone's volumes and they started judging on whatever the judge wanted to do. Now the judges didn't need a legal president to make a ruling on a case, where before they were bound by a president. They had to have a legal basis. Something had to happen in the past that they could study and then give their ruling. But now we don't have that. And that is just one aspect of our legal system. So as Blackstone was pushed out, now we have an American legal system that is so unfair. I mean, I saw a black woman, okay, just recently on a YouTube video. She got sentenced to 60 years in prison for theft. 60 years without the possibility of parole. So we have a legal system, okay, where, I've been to jail, I'll be honest and open about it, over the dumb pandemic. So we have a legal system now that they don't need a president to enforce certain laws. I got arrested because I was running at the beach during the lockdown, which I didn't know this certain obscure city had a ordinance where I couldn't be in their jurisdiction and no one could be outside. And they arrested me. And I had to deal with legal things for almost two years, maybe over 2 years. I can't remember. But I'm still dealing with the fallout because I'm not a ministry. I had to pay all this stuff in legal fees or whatnot. And they put me in jail, and they made it up. They made up that law because they had no previous president. It's so important to have a basis for a ruling. It's so important. So they made it up. They made up a new law to incarcerate me and then put me through all of this drama because they didn't have a legal president previous to this. So now we have judges that are just making up laws because they don't have a legal president. And that is what is happening in the Bible. It's happening in the church. It's happening in the legal system. It's happening in every facet of society. People are just doing what the Bible said. Every man did according to what was right in his own eyes. That's what we have today. So the word of the Lord is scarce when people do whatever they want, when they do what's right in their own eyes. And so we have to go back to God. Let's turn back to God. The Bibles that Mark Ward and Doreen Virtue are promoting, that's not the Bible. That's Westcott and Hort. Westcott and Hort were not Christians. They were clowns. They were Jesuits. They were demons. They were the serpent at the garden. Stop reading that garbage. Let's go back to the president. Our president, that's why I gave you that whole legal spiel. Our president was the King James. We know it did good work in the past. It produced men in charge of their families, protecting their wife and their kids, and they weren't out with other women. The King James Bible produced that kind of a man. It produced the family unit. It produced this nation. We already have that president in place. So let's go back to it. Let's not come up with a new one. Let's go back to what worked. And Mark, you would never mention that. Okay, so we'll leave it there. We will continue to make the case and defend the King James Bible for as long as we live, because it is the true word of God. And no one can convince us. I am not going to go listen to Mr. Mark Ward. Okay, I'm not going to go listen to somebody that loves Westcott and Hort. Those are demons. Okay, and Mark is telling me, and Doreen is encouraging me to go listen to demons, and I am not. Okay, we will see you on the next. I hope you guys made it all the way to the end. Congratulations, because I know it's hard. Got upset. I still got upset, but we have to defend. We have to be conservatives when it comes to our faith. Stop being such liberals when it comes to the faith. Okay? You don't need a degree. I can't understand why Doreen had to go to seminary. I don't understand it. Just read your Bible. And it's such a foolish thing to say, well, I don't understand it. I don't understand the Old English. Really? You don't understand the Old English? It's incredible. That is not a true statement. It is not a true statement. I'm sorry, but you're lying. You do understand it. You do understand it. Because it is English. Okay? I understand it, and you're smarter than I am, Doreen. You really are. So please, don't make those silly arguments. You do understand it. You just don't want to take the time to go thoroughly through the Old Testament. But we will leave it right there. We will put some links to Phil Stringer, Walter Veith on our videos. We'll encourage, still promote this guy named Jarek and Tom Fress, Christian Pinto, obviously. These people could debate. Mr. Smart, Mark Ward, and Mr. Other Smart, James White. They can debate them. I cannot. I have the mind of a peanut. I'm just a Navy guy who loves his family and loves the country as founded on the King James Bible. But don't insult me anymore, please, Doreen Virtue and Mark, in telling me that the King James Bible is a cult, because it's not. It saved my life, and it's made me get closer than ever to the Lord. I have the fear of God on my life now. When before the King James I didn't, but now I do. Now I'm assured. I'm so assured that I was a sinner, and I was saved by God's grace. All those Bibles gave me license to sin and to question and to talk to God however I wanted. Okay? Many times I would have that attitude like, yo, bro, okay, with God. Like I could say whatever I wanted without respect, because that's what I got from those Bibles. And I don't want my kids talking to me that way. The King James Bible brings respect and honor to the Lord, and honor to our parents, and honor into the institutions put over us. We have no honor now of any of those things. We have no honor to God, no honor to parents, no honor to the institutions above us, because the language has been dumbed down to people, to made for them to understand. We don't need all that. So please make sure that you don't insult us anymore. We're not a cult. We're not some loonies. We are people who love the Lord and who have come out of deception by the other Bibles. So don't insult us, please, anymore. Anyway, we will continue to make these recordings. We're going to continue to read. We're going to continue to push the King James Bible, because the King James Bible made our country great, and it can make it great again. Bye-bye.